Sooner or later more storms will be coming, so it's important to know how you can prevent any more tree damage.
Audrey Shirley joins us to give homeowners advice on how to detect potential structural failures in trees. Audrey.
Cindy and David, damaging winds can take down dead trees and knock over healthy trees as well. However, there are ways to spot issues in trees before it is too late.
When you hear the words healthy tree, you may think of a tree with bushy leaves that has been growing for several years, even decades. However, if a healthy tree looks like that, it could still have fungi at the base, and that's an issue during severe weather.
And so that would be indicative of an old wound, which has now been infested with a decay fungus or a pathogenic fungi, essentially a mushroom that's starting to eat the tree. So that's, in a lot of ways, not a health concern, more or less a structural issue.
Moore says an arborist or a mycologist can see whether the fungi is an issue for the tree, since some fungi are beneficial while others can be aggressive. Not only does tree fungi increase a tree's odds of falling, we've also had a near record amount of rainfall of more than 11 inches in the month of May alone, and that leads to trees uprooting.
So having saturated soils and high winds are a cause for uprooting trees. So it wasn't necessarily any fault of the tree. The tree was completely healthy and structural, but you had what's called a soil failure, and the tree doesn't have the roots that it may have in an ideal condition.
Arborists are able to assess the potential structural damage by examining the base of the tree first. Then they ensure there are no hollow spots inside the tree that may indicate bad tree health.
You can really tell that this has no audible hollows. If this got hit by a car, for example, we're near the road here, then that would be a wound that the tree has to deal with. And in a lot of ways, the surface area of the wound is how much it's going to rot.
If the tree is 70% hollow, it has a high likelihood of falling over during storms, especially since trees are not regenerative. Although their wounds reseal over time, it is still important to avoid additional root injuries.
It's also a good idea to prune trees every 3 to 5 years to prevent them from splitting and falling if there are high winds or ice storms too. And if you'd like to learn more about how to examine your own trees, click the story in our app. And speaking of all this rain, what's the forecast looking like? We're going to see more?
We are, but you know what, Audrey, with the trees, real quick, that's fascinating because I've had some of those in my backyard and I've had some cut down, and the guy told me, look at this, rotten all on the inside.
Yes.
But unless you get it checked out, you might never know until it falls over. So
exactly.
Very wise. Rain